It was a crisp autumn afternoon, and Bokuto was beyond excited for his long-awaited date with Akashi. They had decided on a cozy outdoor cafe surrounded by vibrant orange and yellow leaves. Bokuto had spent the whole morning hyping himself up in the mirror. "You're looking sharp, Bokuto. Akashi won't know what hit him," he cheered to himself before heading out. Akashi, of course, arrived exactly on time, looking effortlessly perfect in his navy sweater and neatly pressed pants. Bokuto had to physically stop himself from swooning out loud. "Sorry if I kept you waiting," Akashi greeted with a small smile, his hands tucked into his coat pockets. "No way, I could wait forever if it meant seeing you," Bokuto declared, his voice earning a few curious glances from nearby tables. Akashi just chuckled softly and gestured for them to sit. The two ordered coffee and pastries, and Bokuto launched into an enthusiastic retelling of his latest volleyball match. Akashi listened attentively, nodding in all the right places. Everything was going perfectly. That was until it started happening. The first girl approached as Bokuto was halfway through an elaborate reenactment of his killer spike. "Excuse me," the girl interrupted shyly, brushing her hair behind her ear. "I couldn't help but notice. You're really handsome. Could I get your number?" Akashi blinked, taken slightly aback. I'm flattered, but..." Before he could finish, Bokuto leaned forward dramatically, a hand slapping the table. "Sorry, no can do. He's taken," Bokuto declared with a triumphant grin, throwing his arm around Akashi's shoulder. The girl apologized quickly and scurried off, and Akashi sighed. "You didn't need to do that, Bokuto-san." "Of course I did. I'm protecting what's mine," Bokuto said, puffing out his chest proudly. Akashi gave him a bemused look but didn't argue. But as the date went on, more girls started coming up to their table, one after another. "Hi, you have really pretty eyes." "Sorry, he's taken," Bokuto interrupted. "Are you a model?" "Can I?" "Taken," Bokuto cut in again, practically glowing with pride every time he got to say it. By the time the sixth girl approached, Akashi was beginning to feel a bit embarrassed. He rested his chin on his hand, watching Bokuto shoo the latest admirer away with a flourish. "Bokuto-san," Akashi said once the girl was out of earshot, "you realize I could have handled that myself, right?" "Of course you could have," Bokuto replied, waving a hand. "But why would you, when you've got me?" "Akashi, you're like a super rare gem, and everyone wants a piece of you. It's my job to make sure no one steals you away." Akashi let out a soft laugh. "You're being ridiculous. But thank you, I suppose." Bokuto grinned at him, his golden eyes practically sparkling. "Of course, anything for my Akashi." As they walked away from the cafe later, Bokuto reached over and took Akashi's hand in his own. "You know," he said, his tone more subdued now, "it's not like I don't get it. I mean, look at you. You're incredible. But no one else gets to see you the way I do, and that makes me the luckiest guy ever." Akashi glanced at him, a soft smile tugging at his lips. "Bokuto-san, you really are something, and don't you forget it." Bokuto shot back, swinging their joined hands a little as they strolled through the park. Akashi didn't mind the attention he'd received earlier, especially when Bokuto's over-the-top reactions had made the whole ordeal surprisingly fun. He squeezed Bokuto's hand gently, grateful for his loud, silly, and endlessly caring boyfriend. As they continued their walk through the park, Akashi couldn't help but notice the way Bokuto's excitement began to dim. It wasn't that Bokuto was upset, he was still holding Akashi's hand and swinging their arms like a kid. But after the 10th girl walked up to Akashi, even Bokuto seemed to deflate. Another girl approached, this one holding her phone like she was ready to type. "Hi, I don't usually do this, but you're so, wow, could I get your number?" Bokuto opened his mouth, probably ready to belt out another dramatic "he's taken," but instead, he just sighed and leaned against a nearby tree. "You know what? Go ahead, maybe you'll get lucky." Akashi turned to Bokuto, raising an eyebrow. "You're giving up. Clearly, I'm outnumbered," Bokuto exclaimed, gesturing to the growing crowd of onlookers. "You're a magnet, Akashi, a magnet for overly bold strangers." The girl stood awkwardly for a moment before muttering an apology and walking away. Akashi suppressed a laugh, looking back at Bokuto, who now looked like a defeated hero in a melodrama. "You're really just going to let them swarm me?" Akashi teased. Bokuto crossed his arms, pouting. "What's the point of saying anything? It's not like they'll listen. They see you and completely ignore me. Do I have to start wearing a sign? Property of Bokuto Katarao. Wouldn't that be on me?" Akashi deadpanned, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Even better," Bokuto declared, perking up immediately. "A huge sign on your back. Maybe a jersey that says #1 Akashi fan on the front." Akashi shook his head, amused. "Bokuto-san, you're overthinking this." "Am I?" Bokuto groaned dramatically, draping himself across a park bench like a Shakespearean actor. "You're too handsome for your own good, Akashi. I can't compete." Before Akashi could respond, yet another girl approached, this one giggling nervously. Excuse me. Bokuto let out an exaggerated yell, leaping up from the bench. Another one. The girl jumped, clearly startled by his sudden outburst, and backed away before she could even finish her sentence. Akashi stifled a laugh behind his hand, watching Bokuto spin around to face him with wild eyes. This is impossible, Bokuto cried, throwing his hands in the air. At this rate, I'm gonna need to start a waiting room for all your admirers. You're being ridiculous, Akashi said, finally letting his laughter escape. He reached out and grabbed Bokuto's hand, squeezing it reassuringly. I don't want their attention, Bokuto-san. I'm here with you. Bokuto froze, blinking at him. Really? Even though I'm loud and kinda dramatic and exactly the person I want to spend my day with, Akashi interrupted smoothly, his voice soft but firm. Bokuto's face lit up like the sun itself. Akashi, that's so sweet. Say it again. Akashi sighed, shaking his head but unable to hide the small blush creeping onto his cheeks. Don't make me regret complimenting you. You're the best, Bokuto cheered, grabbing Akashi in a tight hug and twirling him in a circle. Hear that, world? He's mine. The few lingering admirers scattered quickly after that, either too embarrassed or too intimidated by Bokuto's uncontainable energy. Akashi could only chuckle as Bokuto finally relaxed, his jealousy replaced with his usual boyish glee. Feel better now? Akashi asked, adjusting his coat after Bokuto's whirlwind hug. Way better, Bokuto said, puffing out his chest. Now let's go. I still owe you dessert, and no one's gonna interrupt us this time. Akashi just shook his head, letting Bokuto lead the way. For all his dramatics, Akashi found himself liking Bokuto's protective streak. It was a reminder that no matter how much attention he got, his heart firmly belonged to the loud, silly boy holding his hand. As the two strolled toward the dessert stand Bokuto had raved about earlier, the park grew quieter. The warm hues of the setting sun cast a golden glow across Akashi's face, making him look almost ethereal. Bokuto slowed his pace, his hand still firmly clasping Akashi's, and glanced at him with a soft expression. Hey, Akashi, Bokuto said suddenly, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. Akashi turned to him, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Bokuto-san. I know I'm always loud and maybe a little much sometimes, Bokuto began, scratching the back of his head nervously, but I'm really lucky to have you. Like, really lucky. You could have anyone, and I mean, look at today, literally anyone, but you chose me. Akashi tilted his head, his gaze softening. Bokuto-san, I told you before, didn't I? I don't care about the attention from anyone else. You're the one I want to be with. Bokuto's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, he was quiet, an impressive feat in itself. Then, a grin broke across his face, not the boisterous kind he usually wore, but something softer, more genuine. I don't deserve you, Akashi, he murmured, stepping closer. Akashi chuckled, shaking his head. You say that, but I think you're exactly what I need. No one else makes me laugh the way you do, or makes me feel this way. Bokuto's breath caught, and without thinking, he gently cupped Akashi's face in his hands. His thumbs brushed against Akashi's cheeks, and his golden eyes searched Akashi's for a moment before he leaned in. The kiss was soft and unhurried, a perfect contrast to Bokuto's usual energy. Akashi closed his eyes, his hands resting lightly on Bokuto's wrists as he leaned into the warmth of the moment. The world seemed to fade away, the chaos of earlier, the curious onlookers, the noise of the park. It was just them, wrapped in golden light, their hearts beating as one. When they finally pulled away, Bokuto's cheeks were flushed, and his usual grin was replaced with a tender smile. Well, he whispered, his voice barely audible. That was perfect. Akashi's lips quirked up in a rare, genuine smile. I'd say you earned it after today. Earned it? Bokuto echoed, laughing softly. I'd go through 100 girls interrupting us if it meant I got to kiss you like that. Akashi chuckled, lacing his fingers with Bokuto's again. Let's not test that theory. Now, come on, you promised me dessert. Bokuto laughed, his heart feeling lighter than ever. Anything for you, Akashi, always. And as they walked off into the golden evening, hand in hand, Bokuto felt like the luckiest guy in the world, because, in every way that mattered, he was.